All right, 49ers Intel. First things first, I want to apologize for the no microphone today. So we're using the computer microphone. We had an equipment breakdown that will be repaired by tomorrow. So by tomorrow evening, or maybe if I don't go live tomorrow with the games, then by Sunday for sure, you're going to have better audio quality. So get that out of the way because I know a lot of people are going to complain about the audio quality. But we're here for 49ers Intel. And there's a lot of it to disseminate today. First, starting with Brock Purdy's deep passing efficiency. This right here is another one of those staggering Brock Purdy graphs. EPA and accuracy on deep passes for NFL quarterbacks this year. Deep accuracy is going to be measured on the x-axis. So further to the right means more accurate. And then EPA, expected points added. So efficiency whenever a quarterback is throwing deep is going to be charted on the y-axis. So you want to be further to the right, further up. There's Brock Purdy, the very top right. A lot higher than Dak Prescott, who was really good. And Dak Prescott received all-pro honors, second-team all-pro honors over Brock Purdy. In fact, Brock Purdy is higher than anybody in the history of the NFL here because his accuracy on deep passes this year is unrivaled in documented NFL history. Purdy completed over 63% of his deep passes. PFF had nobody over 60% on record prior to this season. The EPA and that accuracy that I'm talking about is charted right here. Nevertheless, the 49ers had 7 All-Pros this year, but a snub with Brock Purdy. Here are the All-Pros for the 49ers. McCaffrey, Juszczyk, first year for fullbacks in the All-Pro voting. George Kittle, Trent Williams, and Fred Warner. Second teamers, Brandon Ayuk, who wasn't a Pro Bowler but wasn't All-Pro. We can call that pulling a Christian McCaffrey from last season. Christian McCaffrey wasn't a Pro Bowler and was an All-Pro in 2022. And Charvarius Ward, second team All-Pro. No Purdy. He was the top vote getter amongst the players who didn't make the All-Pro team. Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott made the All-Pro team ahead of Brock Purdy. Statistically, it makes little sense. Adjusted net yards per attempt. Purdy, 9 is an insane year. There have only been a handful of these types of seasons in NFL history. And Brock Purdy's number is the highest for a quarterback who threw for at least 400 attempts in an NFL season. So he made NFL history. Meanwhile, everybody else is bunched behind him, way behind him. 7.5 for Tagovailoa, 7.5 for C.J. Stroud. What a rookie season for C.J. Stroud. And 7.3 for Lamar Jackson. Prescott's also at 7.3. So these are the two guys that beat Purdy out for the All-Pro honors. Only 2 All-Pro spots for quarterbacks in the entire league. And Purdy was on the outside looking in. So, I mean, what else can you do if you're Brock Purdy? He had a sensational season. We can safely say it was a historic season. And I guess to answer the question, what else he can do? He can put on a revenge game in the postseason, maybe multiple revenge games. He may have a chance to face Dak Prescott, and he may have a chance to face Lamar Jackson. If he faces both of those guys, it will happen in the NFC Championship game and then in the Super Bowl, because it's impossible mathematically for the 49ers to play the Cowboys in the divisional playoffs, and it is impossible for them to play the Ravens in the NFC playoffs since those teams are in different conferences. So we're lining up for one hell of a story here in the postseason. Brock Purdy snubbed out of the All-Pro award. Probably, I would say, will be snubbed out of the MVP award based on the betting odds and based on how we saw the voting for the All-Pro go. So he's going to have a chance to show everybody in the postseason. And I don't think that there's anything much more dangerous in the NFL than a motivated Brock Purdy. You saw him put up the historic numbers this year, and there was a lot of motivation coursing through his veins. We heard when he told Mark Schlereth, he said that anybody who calls me a game manager either doesn't know what they're watching or hasn't seen me play or doesn't know what they're talking about. And he also added on to that, and Mark Schlereth was paraphrasing him. He said that the rest of this story, how this story ends, will prove that. So we now get to see how the story ends. The 49ers have 3 more games if they continue winning. They'll have the divisional round. We'll find out the opponent at the latest on Monday. Then they'll have the NFC Championship game if they win that. And then they'll have the Super Bowl, where the Super Bowl MVP will be up for grabs. And, one thing about the MVP, and I don't want to speak too much about it because the MVP hasn't been announced yet. I think they voted on it, but it won't be announced until the NFL Awards night, which comes right before the Super Bowl. But one thing about the MVP is that based on what some of these voters are saying and what a lot of the media is saying, they're saying that Christmas Day was the game that determined it, as if this is a one-day award. Well, it's not a one-day award, and this is season-long production. If it's only a one-day award, don't we already have the Super Bowl MVP for that? So Purdy has a chance to win the true one-day award, which is the Super Bowl MVP. But when you look at the season-long MVP, statistically, he's been better than every other quarterback in football. And by extension, the last 10 MVPs have been quarterbacks. So you would think that Brock Purdy might have a leg up here. If you like deep passes, Brock Purdy's been the best on documented record. So facts, but not feelings. I feel that a lot of this voting is based on feelings and not facts, but we have facts here and we can go with that. This is 49ers Intel. So let's move on to talking about Adam Peters. He has, or is going to leave the 49ers. I don't think he's signed the contract with Washington yet because they're still trying to figure out titles. It's a strange situation because Martin Mayhew, who was one of the 49ers executives a couple years ago up until 2021, the Washington Commanders poached Mayhew to be their GM in 2021 away from the 49ers. 2 years later, they're ready to replace Martin Mayhew as GM with another 49ers executive, one of the 49ers Big Four, the original Big Four, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, Adam Peters, and Martin Mayhew. They're ready to replace Mayhew with Adam Peters. So 2 of the 49ers Big Four have been hired by Washington over the course of a couple years to be the general manager on the East Coast. Mayhew is still on the payroll for the Commanders, and Peters is officially not yet. They have to determine what everybody's title is going to be, and I think Mayhew has to determine if he wants to stay with Washington. If some feelings are hurt here and Mayhew doesn't want to stay with Washington, I think that'd be understandable. And all of a sudden, we'd have to start asking the question, is there a chance that he returns to San Francisco to be the assistant general manager? Because the 49ers are set up to promote from within. And promoting from within can mean either somebody currently on the payroll, like Tariq Ahmad, who is their director of college scouting, or RJ Gillen, who's their director of pro scouting. But somebody like Martin Mayhew was a senior personnel executive for a good 4 years under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. He also would be a candidate, at least theoretically, if he does become a free agent. But technically, Mayhew is still with Washington. It's possible that Adam Peters, who learned from John Lynch, will pull a Lynch when he goes for his GM job. And what John Lynch did is he brought Martin Mayhew in to help him become a GM. Lynch had no prior experience in 2017. And because of that, he wanted somebody with former NFL general manager experience in the building. So Martin Mayhew was that for John Lynch. It was a good support system to lean on. Well, Adam Peters doesn't have any NFL general manager experience, so maybe he'll want to keep Martin Mayhew, somebody who he's familiar with in the building. John Lynch and Martin Mayhew knew each other through their playing days, friends since then. Adam Peters and Martin Mayhew know each other since the 49ers days, and now both are technically with Washington, but we'll have to wait to see how that all officially shakes out, what the titles are going to be. So Martin Mayhew's future, a big part of all of this. And Brock Purdy's deep passing efficiency, the headline today on the day that he was snubbed from all pro voting. Why don't we take a quick look at the 49ers Q&A. See what everybody's up to. Again, those of you just joining, sorry about the mic quality. We don't have a mic today. The mic, we have it. Maybe somebody can help me. This thing right here, I go to pull it out just to readjust the mic, and it yanked out the little, you could see in there, it yanked out the port. The port is not connected to the mic. It's lodged in there, but it's not digitally or electronically connected to the mic. So we're not getting any more power out of this thing. So we could just go ahead and put the mic away. We have on our other location, we have another one of these mics. We got 2 of them now, and that's good because this one is donezo. Probably gonna have to send it in for repairs. But if anybody has a better idea, we'll go with that. But the good news is that we have the functioning mic standing by, ready to go, not at this location, but we'll be back at the other location soon for the postseason. So we need a bye week for the microphone as we start this 49ers Q&A. Does it concern you the 49ers are depending on a quarterback who has only 1 full year as a starter? I love Purdy, but he may be going against teams led by Lamar, Mahomes, or Allen, 4 MVPs between them. Well, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs beat the 49ers in 2019, and that was Mahomes' 2nd year as a starter. So you either got it or you don't, right? And Joe Montana was in his 3rd year starting in 1981 when the 49ers won the Super Bowl. So it's a young man's league, and I understand it. The quarterback position, probably one where experience might boost you a little bit more than others, but that can't be something on the 49ers' minds right now. It's Purdy for this football team as long as he stays healthy. Here's the catch is happening. We just have a bye week this week. We try to go with one episode a week, so we'll have another episode coming up this week. We just decided to take the bye week off since we don't even know who the 49ers are going to be playing, so there's not really much to talk about on that podcast for right now. We are 167 subscribers away from 60,000. So why don't you do me a favor? Do yourself a favor. Everybody hit that subscribe button right now if you haven't done so yet. We'll hit 60,000 for sure before the playoffs start. And then we'll see if, I'm kind of just bracing myself for a big playoff surge. We see that every year. Right now, the 49ers are the bye week, so everything's a little bit more quiet. But let's see if we can go from 60 to 70 over the course of the postseason. All-Pro voting, the Associated Press votes for the All-Pro award. So you can put different positions have a different amount of players, but it's essentially 2 deep across the roster. So 2 players from the entire league. It's not NFC or AFC like the Pro Bowl. The entire league, 2 players at least at the quarterback position can make it if we're talking about Brock Purdy. Nope, no comp pick coming as a result of Adam Peters leaving. That's a minority hiring incentive. So it won't apply to Adam Peters for the 49ers. Purdy and Trent healthy. Viva Las Vegas. Definitely possible for the 49ers. All right, I know we don't have a mic today, so I'm not going to go overly long. Everybody have a great Friday evening. Let's brace ourselves for the playoffs and finding out the 49ers opponent.